During unloading operations at a worksite, a worker positioned himself near the open bed of a truck while vehicle movements were ongoing in the area. At the same time, another truck was approaching in reverse with an active warning signal. The worker remained within the hazard zone and did not maintain visual awareness of the moving vehicle. As the reversing truck continued its path, it made contact with the worker, trapping him against the open truck bed. Areas involving active vehicle movement and unloading operations must be strictly controlled with enforced exclusion zones. Workers should never position themselves between moving vehicles and fixed or stationary structures. Maintaining constant visual contact with vehicle operators and wearing high-visibility clothing are essential safety practices. At an automotive repair workshop, employees were attempting to manage a vehicle fire that developed during service activities. Initial attempts to control the fire using a portable extinguisher were not effective, and the situation escalated beyond early containment. The fire spread through the vehicle, and on-site personnel were unable to bring it under control. Vehicle fire response requires immediate, correct use of extinguishing equipment and clear understanding of its operating limits. Fire suppression should only be attempted when it can be done safely and effectively in the early stages. If control is not rapidly achieved, evacuation and emergency services must take priority. Proper training, correct extinguisher selection, and maintaining safe distance from escalating fire conditions are essential to reduce risk in automotive workshop environments. At a loading and unloading area, a worker was opening the side gate of a parked truck to begin material discharge operations. As one of the cargo restraints was released, a heavy metal component inside the load shifted unexpectedly and fell from the truck bed. The falling object struck the worker who was positioned adjacent to the opening point. The event resulted in the individual being reported injured during the incident. Cargo within transport vehicles must always be properly secured before any unloading activity begins. Opening vehicle gates without first verifying load stability can result in sudden material movement and falling objects. Safe unloading procedures require assessing load conditions, using controlled release methods, and maintaining a clear standing position outside potential fall zones. Personnel should never position themselves directly beside or beneath an unsecured load during access or gate opening operations. At a workplace, a maintenance worker was performing a task on an elevated ceiling area using a portable ladder. During the work, the ladder unexpectedly lost stability and slipped from its position, leaving the worker without secure footing. The worker managed to hold onto an overhead structural element to prevent a fall while remaining suspended. Nearby personnel quickly responded by repositioning and lifting the ladder into place, allowing the worker to safely descend to the ground. The event was recorded as a workplace safety reference involving unstable access equipment during overhead work. Ladders used for overhead maintenance must always be properly secured and placed on stable ground before use. Any movement or instability can rapidly remove the worker's primary support, creating a fall hazard. Safe practice requires inspecting ladder condition, ensuring correct positioning, and maintaining 3 points of contact throughout the task. Where stability cannot be guaranteed, alternative access equipment, such as a secured platform, should be used instead of a portable ladder. During a freight handling task involving an elevator system, a worker was using a rope attached to a load positioned within or near the elevator shaft. As the elevator moved, the rope became taut and began to transmit force unexpectedly. When the worker attempted to pull or adjust the rope, the tension increased, causing an uncontrolled movement that led to the worker being pulled toward the elevator opening and falling into the shaft area. The situation highlights risks associated with manual interaction with loads connected to moving elevator systems. Elevator shafts and moving lift systems must never be used for manual pulling or retrieval of attached loads. Any rope, cable, or attachment connected to an elevator can become hazardous when the system moves unexpectedly. Safe handling requires ensuring loads are fully secured, isolated from moving parts, and never influenced by manual force during operation. Personnel must avoid standing near open shafts or attempting to interact with loads under tension within elevator systems. Inside an industrial area, a worker was positioned behind a stationary cargo truck during site activity. At the same time, another truck was reversing toward the same location. The worker did not notice the approaching vehicle and remained within the movement zone. As the reversing truck continued, contact occurred between the two vehicles with the worker in between. The space around moving vehicles in industrial environments must be treated as a restricted zone at all times. Workers should avoid standing behind or between vehicles and must remain clearly visible to operators. Reversing operations require proper controls, including warning systems, trained guides, and enforced pedestrian exclusion areas. Maintaining separation between personnel and vehicle movement paths is essential to prevent serious incidents. During the use of a handheld angle grinding tool in a workshop setting, the equipment experienced an unexpected kickback during operation. The operator was holding the tool at the time, and the sudden reaction caused a loss of control, with the tool moving unpredictably in the worker's hands. The situation briefly created a hazardous condition, but the worker was able to avoid a more serious outcome. Handheld power tools must always be used in accordance with manufacturer instructions, including proper grip, use of auxiliary handles, and two-handed operation where required. Kickback events can occur without warning, making it unsafe to attempt to stop or restrain the tool with hands or feet. The correct response is to maintain safe positioning, allow the tool to come to rest if possible, and disconnect the power source as soon as it is safe to do so. Proper training and correct handling techniques significantly reduce the risk of loss of control. At an outdoor worksite, employees were handling large sheet materials while strong winds were present. The wind gusts caused the panel material to move unpredictably, making it difficult for workers to maintain control. As the wind interacted with the broad surfaces of the sheet material, it increased the risk of loss of control and unexpected movement. When handling large, flat materials outdoors, wind conditions must be assessed before the task begins. Strong gusts can turn panels into uncontrolled sails, creating a risk of sudden movement that can lead to loss of balance or dropped loads. Planning should include weather condition checks, use of additional personnel to stabilize materials, mechanical aids, and clear communication. If wind speeds exceed safe handling thresholds, the task should be postponed or moved to a sheltered area to reduce the risk of incidents. At a workplace in the Czech Republic, a pedestrian was moving within an area where a forklift truck was operating. During the activity, the forklift began reversing, and the operator did not have a clear view of the space behind the vehicle. The worker remained in the movement path of the reversing forklift and made contact with it. Reversing forklifts present a limited visibility hazard and require strict control measures. Pedestrians must never enter the path of a moving or reversing forklift without ensuring the operator is aware of their presence. Worksites must implement separation between pedestrian and vehicle routes, along with visibility aids such as mirrors, cameras, and warning systems. At a workplace involving lifting and material handling activities, employees were operating in an area where a load was being moved overhead by crane. During the process, the load became unsecured. As the material shifted, it fell from its elevated position into the immediate work zone, striking a worker. Any lifted or positioned load must be fully secured before personnel are allowed to work nearby. Even brief instability can result in sudden movement and loss of control. Safe lifting practice requires correct rigging, verification of load stability, and maintaining clear exclusion zones until the load is fully fixed in place. Personnel should never assume a load is stable without physical confirmation through proper securing methods and controlled handling procedures.